I'd love to hear what you think about the story. How did it feel to you, and where in the world are you watching from? If there's any mistake, I truly apologize in advance. This is just the beginning, the first episode. New episodes will be released every day at 9 p.m. sharp. Don't forget to stay tuned. Without wasting time, let's start the story.
I entered in the house in a cheerful mood, and the first person I ran into in the lounge was Miriam. "Api, Umar Bai is here," she exclaimed with such excitement, as if she were saying, "Api, Prince Charles has arrived." Greater than note. Api is a respectful way of saying elder sister in Urdu. Bai means brother. The thrill and happiness on her face were obvious, and my throat turned bitter. She, lost in her own world and unaware of my expressions, went on talking. "We were all shocked to see him. Just look how clever he is, showing up without telling anyone beforehand." An intense thrill and joy were clearly visible on her face, and my throat turned bitter. Meanwhile, she, lost in her own excitement and unaware of my expressions, kept talking. "We were all so surprised to see him. Just look how clever he is, came without telling anyone in advance. Without even informing us. He said, 'I came this way to give you all a surprise.'" Without responding to her comment, I headed towards the kitchen. From the sounds coming from inside, it seemed like all the women were present. Peeking in through the kitchen door, I saw that it was a state of emergency inside. Everyone was busy, no one had time to talk. Even Grandma Daddy, having forgotten her joint pain and all her other ailments, was actively preparing a grand feast to welcome her beloved grandson. She didn't even respond to my salam, an Islamic greeting that means, "Peace be upon you." It was given in a very casual manner. I entered my room in a very off mood. I threw my dupatta, a long scarf worn with traditional South Asian outfits, bag, and sandals far away. I said, "How did this boy come? Everyone was tired of calling him again and again, and he wasn't showing up, and now suddenly he has appeared out of nowhere." With my head boiling with thoughts, I lay down on the bed without even washing my hands or face. Now I have to decide how I should behave with him. We've never had a friendly relationship. Should I completely ignore him? Or should I meet him in a casual manner and exchange a few formal words? Lying down, I began to plan my course of action. While thinking about him, many past incidents came to my mind, none of which were pleasant. But that last thing, for that alone, I will never forgive him for his attitude. The truth is, I'm quite emotional, grudge-bearing, and vengeful by nature. If someone insults me, causes me harm, or gives me pain, I never forgive them. Instead, I harbor a deep grudge against them in my heart. And this Umar Faruqi, he's my natural-born and sworn enemy. Even though this fact has remained, I didn't understand why he was angry with me. My revenge was only in response to his behavior. Maybe he started disliking me from the very day I was born. But I only realized it much later. When I came into this world, he was already 4 years old. The only child in the house. The spoiled one. Everyone adored him. He was not only his parents' favorite, but also the little prince of my own mom and dad. For 4 years straight, he received every bit of love, attention, and affection. With no one else to share it with. Maybe, he was upset with me because I took away his place. And the love that once belonged only to him. But why did he never try to understand? Maybe it was all just a misunderstanding on his part. I was never even considered equal to him, not even once. Because of him, I was always treated unfairly. Of course, all parents love their children. But he was the only one back then. So naturally, he became the favorite of both mom and dad. But my mother, she always gave him more importance than me. And that hurt. Again and again. And Grandma, my daddy. She loved him more than her own life. As for me, she never liked me. Not even a little. Clumsy, ill-mannered, uncultured. These were the kind of words I often heard from her mouth since childhood. And my mother, she never said a word. Never once questioned why Grandma would insult her own daughter like that. She never even looked hurt. Even today, whenever I think about it, my blood begins to boil. How many times did my own loved ones ignore me, just because of that boy. I don't remember every detail from back then, but I know deep in my heart. Even at that age, I must have been treated unfairly in countless little ways. The first painful memory I do remember clearly was when I entered the 3rd grade. Umar and I both went to the same school. That day was our annual prize distribution. Mom, Dad, Mama, Papa, everyone had come from home for the event. Umar, true to his usual brilliance, didn't just secure first position in his class, he topped the entire school. His name echoed through the auditorium again and again. First position, Umar Faruqi. Best student of the year, Umar Faruqi. Most regular student, Umar Faruqi. Best debater, Umar Faruqi. And I don't even remember what else they called out. The chair next to him was stacked high with trophies, shields, and certificates. Everyone kept glancing proudly at Mom and Dad, smiling with admiration, amazed that such a brilliant, talented boy was their son. I was clapping along happily too, excitedly telling people, Umar Faruqi is my first cousin. Even the principal personally congratulated Mummy and Daddy, saying, your son is exceptionally gifted. When we reached home, Grandma was waiting eagerly at the door. Yes, your precious one has won again, just like always. Papa beamed with pride as he shared the news. She pulled Umar into a tight hug, her eyes glowing with love. My moon, my precious boy, she said, showering him with affection. Then suddenly, what are you doing just standing there? Go change out of your uniform. Mama's sharp, irritated voice snapped at me. Before I could even recover from the sting of her tone, Grandma turned to me and added her own bitter comment. Just look at our brilliant granddaughter. Only got an A in drawing and English, and C's and D's in everything else. And still, she stands there with her head held high. And we're supposed to be putting flower garlands around her neck. Mama stood speechless, my head lowered in shame. Maybe, just maybe, she was the only one who felt some sympathy, because she softly said, why are you scolding her, Sophia? She's still a child, she'll improve with time. But Grandma snapped again. Improve? What nonsense. You can see a child's future right from the cradle. I've tried teaching her over and over, nothing works. She's just dull-minded. And look at Umar. Nobody even gives him any extra attention at home, yet look how far ahead he is. If only I had spent on Umar the time and energy I wasted on her, at least my heart would have found some joy. And I stood there silently, head down, Mama's cruel words piercing the air, heavy with disappointment. I was breaking down inside, and there he stood right in front of me, grinning. As if watching me get scolded gave him some kind of twisted joy. Everyone in the family had given Umar one expensive gift after another. His grandmother, Daddy, gave him a full 200 rupees in cash. And me, well, only my parents gave me a Barbie doll. No one else gave me anything. That day, I went to my room and cried my heart out. What happened? Why are you crying? A little while later, he was standing over me. I looked up and saw him eating an ice cream cone, a mischievous grin spread across his face. Without even waiting for my answer, he said, Grandma gave me 200 rupees. I bought a burger and some spicy fried chicken, roast, with part of it. Now I'm having ice cream. I just can't decide what else to buy with the rest. You tell me, nah. And in that moment, for the first time in my life, I genuinely disliked him. He was licking his ice cream cone again and again, slowly. And I forgot all about my tears. Like a desperate fool, I just kept staring at his cone, hoping for even a small bite. But that wretched boy didn't even pretend to offer me one. Then he added, grinning, you know, your mom, the one I call Choti Mama, younger aunt, gave me a Walkman as a gift. He used to call my mom Choti Mama, because in our culture, that's how we address younger aunts. What did you get? His voice was soaked in sly mischief. I snapped. They gave me your head. Now get lost. I hissed, furious. And that's where it all began. Our rivalry. No, not our rivalry. Just mine. He was my born enemy. It just took me a little longer to realize it. I honestly think he studies so hard just to make me feel small. Not because he actually loves studying. Fine, I wasn't a genius like him. But my mom never missed a chance to turn my ignorance into a joke. Retelling my stupidity as stories for others to laugh at. My hatred for him kept growing, day by day. Every little thing turned into a comparison between us. And every time, they would end up shaking their heads at me, disappointed, hopeless about my future. And in those moments, that look on his face, so smug, so satisfied, it made my blood boil. Dash dash dash. Time passed slowly, painfully. Inside my own house, I felt like I had no worth. Sometimes, I honestly wished I had been born to Mummy instead. She was always kind. And Daddy too, he showed me warmth, even love. In fact, both of them seemed to love me more than my own parents ever did. My parents always followed that old saying, feed your children morsels of gold, but watch them with the eyes of a lion. But in our house, there weren't even any golden morsels. Dash dash dash. Somehow, that wretched boy had found out that I hated vegetables. So every morning, on our way to school, he would say loudly, Grandma, please make onions and bitter gourd today. Grandma, here refers to Daddy, the father's mother, who lived with us. And the moment his beloved grandson mentioned her favorite dish, her face would light up with joy. She would lovingly go into the kitchen and cook onions and bitter gourd, called karela in Urdu, with her own hands. I don't know what secret trick she used, but they always turned out extra bitter. If bitter gourd isn't bitter, it's not real karela. That was her famous line. Dash dash dash. At the dining table, I would stare at the dish like it was mocking me from the plate. I'm not eating this. It's way too bitter. I'd pout. Do you see this girl's attitude, Sophia? Grandma would turn toward Mummy. And Mummy would then shoot me a sharp, cold look. I'd fall silent, tears rolling down my cheeks. As I forced the bitter karela down my throat, one bite at a time. Dash dash dash. Once in a while, when Mummy's heart would soften toward me, she'd say gently, Come, Taby, I'll make something else for you. Taby was my family nickname, short for Taba. Everyone at home lovingly called me that. But before Mummy could even finish her sentence, Grandma would cut her off harshly. No need to spoil her even more. She's already way too rude. This is the age to discipline children. If we don't do it now, who will? It felt like my entire upbringing, my value as a child, now depended on whether or not I ate karela. Dash dash dash. The truth is, it all started during a moment just like this. When I had said to Grandma, but you don't eat chicken either. I learned it from you. From that day on, she held on to that line like it was a sacred insult. In her eyes, I became the most ill-mannered, disrespectful, and shameless child alive. According to her, my training needed urgent fixing. Or one day the family would deeply regret it. Dash dash dash. And the one who had requested the bitter gourd in the first place. He would barely take 2 bites. But everyone's eyes stayed fixed on me. No one noticed him slipping away quietly, while I remained stuck in the spotlight of shame. Dash dash dash. Look at Umar, he eats everything without fuss. And you, are you some royal princess now? Grandma would taunt me endlessly. Girls with tantrums don't end up anywhere in life. And he, with that devilish smile, would just sit there quietly, enjoying every second of my humiliation. Dash dash dash. At noon, only the women and his children were at home. So every day, we were served strange vegetarian meals. Sometimes potato and beans, sometimes pumpkin, gourd, or bitter gourd again. All the women were vegetarian. The good food, the meat, the delicious dishes, was only made in the evening, when the men came home. That's when I'd finally eat with a full stomach. But who could I complain to? Everyone around me felt like my enemy. And that idiot, he'd praise Grandma's bitter gourd loudly, then disappear into his room, where he'd secretly eat roaster sandwiches that he had already bought in advance. And he'd make sure I saw him doing it. Dash dash dash. Our rooms were right across from each other. He would deliberately sit by his open door, enjoying all my favorite snacks, flaunting them in front of me. And I'd sit there, silently cursing him, boiling in frustration. My mom was so strict about giving me pocket money that I couldn't even dream of planning something like that. But he got pocket money not just from daddy, but also from grandma. The only stepchild in this house was clearly me. That day was no different. I had choked down the bland potato bean curry, only because he'd asked for it, and now lay starving in my room. Those tasteless beans, were they even human food? It felt like I'd been force-fed cattle feed. Then I saw it. Across the hallway, he sat devouring a dripping, cheesy pizza, mouth stretched wide. Strings of melted cheese hung from each bite, and a chilled Pepsi bottle stood beside him. Every crunch, every swallow stoked the fire in my empty stomach. He chewed obliviously, lost in his feast. That's it. If I don't expose him today, I'm not Taban. Rage and weeks of pent-up frustration propelled me downstairs to Mama's room. She was already resting. What's wrong? She asked, startled. Come see your perfect son's true colors. I yanked her up, dragging her back upstairs while she stumbled in confusion. But when we burst into his room, there he knelt on his prayer mat, white skullcap perfectly placed, hands raised in devotion. The picture of piety. Auntie's eyes darted between us, bewildered. He's faking. He was just eating pizza. I shrieked. He finished his prayer with a serene, Amin, wiped his face, and blinked at us. What happened, Auntie? I don't know. She just pulled me here, Auntie stammered, now glaring at me. Exhausted, she snapped. I've had enough of this drama, Taby. Ignoring them, I tore through his room, kicked under the bed, flipped open his trash bin, rummaged through his wardrobe. Have you gone mad? Mama's scream froze me mid-search. I'm not crazy. He was taunting me with food. I jabbed a finger at him, then mimicked his fake humble tone. Oh grandma, I'll eat your blessed potato beans with gratitude.
Mama's face darkened. Your father will hear about this. The threat doused my fury instantly. She turned to him, voice softening. Umar, don't mind her. You should rest, you study so hard. Patting his head, she left. He waited until her footsteps faded, then strolled to the balcony and returned with the half-eaten pizza and Pepsi. Want some? He asked, taking an exaggerated bite. I fled to my room, humiliated, hunger gnawing at me worse than before.